What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Crossover Commerce. Sorry if I scared you there. I got a little excited about today's episode. Welcome to my corner of the internet. As the intro stated, my name is Ryan Cramer, and this is Crossover Commerce. This is episode 169 of this beautiful show that I like to bring on the best and brightest people in the Amazon e-commerce industry as a whole, kind of helping you get your valuable insights from their space or their expertise, if you will, to kind of level up your knowledge and help you just to grow as an entrepreneur or just as a brand. Or if you just want to get a little bit of a leg up on the competition, this is the podcast for you. If you might notice, we are on video as well as this will be an audio version as well on your favorite podcast destination. That could be on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you might listen to your favorite pieces of content. That's where we will be. But if you just want one simple destination, you can watch video, audio, check out the transcripts and key takeaways at usa.pingpongx.com/podcast. Pretty easy, simple, straightforward, and engage with all of our past episodes, if you will. So again, as we kind of kick this off, if you're new to the podcast or if you're new to watching or engaging with us, it's an interactive podcast. If you have questions for our guests or myself, feel free to go ahead and ask in the comment section below. If you're watching this on social media, go ahead. We can watch and see your questions come up live on our screens, and happy to kind of answer the best we can. If you watch this at a later time or #team replay, you can also engage with our brands. Just go ahead and tag them on social media. And the best way to do that is how it is displayed in the comment section or in the show notes below. Pretty easy, self-explanatory, straightforward. So before we get kicked off, let me go ahead and just say about PingPong Payments, our presenting sponsor. PingPong Payments has helped over 1 million customers worldwide transact more than $150 million a day for cross-border companies and e-commerce brands just like yours, who are saving more money, time, and effort when they are sending payments to international entities like their suppliers, manufacturers, VAs, anything along those lines. Or if you're receiving in multiple different currencies in different countries, you can also use PingPong to save on fees. No one likes paying fees. Go ahead and put more money to your bottom line and sign up. Takes 5 clicks to sign up, and once approved, you can actually get $500 today in your PingPong account. Go ahead and do that today. Go ahead and check out the link below in the comment section or show notes to be able to do that. All right, thanks, PingPong. Let's go ahead and kick off this episode. Again, as people are in different spaces of their business might know that starting a business online, it takes a lot of time, money, and effort. It also takes manpower or just the sheer will and just kind of the focus of what you need to do in order to be successful seller, whether that be a brand or selling a couple products. Gone are the days where you can just throw a product online and maybe just set aside, at least initially, just throw products online, be successful, and really understand and be successful in terms of selling products, being compliant and making sure inventory's in stock, marketing's at a key point, everything's automated. There is a lot of groundwork you have to put up front, but there is ways to do that in terms of the sweat equity to later on go ahead and just operate as automated as you can be. And one of those people who have figured it out is actually with us today. His name is their team is his name is Tyler Sullivan. We're going to figure out which to call him today, but we're going to call him Sully or Tyler, more formalized right now until we become friends of the show, of EcomGrowers and BombTech Golf. BombTech Golf, his brand that he developed over time, and EcomGrowers is more of the agency that he's just developed as well. But Tyler is a founder of those brands and has over $20 million sold online since 2012. Big time revenue coming in through Tyler. He also runs EcomGrowers, where he and his team have helped countless Shopify owners add 6 and 7 figures in additional sales to their e-commerce stores by optimizing email systems and campaigns to help find hidden revenue streams online. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring him in because it's good to always hear from the person themselves about the topics that we're going to be discussing today. And of course, that means we're discussing scaling a business with only, we said one other employee. He actually has two employees. So we're going to be going ahead and inviting on Tyler to Crossover Commerce. Tyler, welcome. And thanks for joining us today.
Yo, made it. Yeah, I doubled the staff. We're up to two.
That's a lot. Look at that growth. Like that's 200% growth or 100% growth year. What's wrong with you?
It's it wasn't always the way. For me right now, after 9 years, so the company is really lean, and I personally, as a dad, believe in a business that kind of operates without me. But that wasn't the case. If you talk to me in 2012, I was working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I did it with a newborn on the way, and it was a different time. But after having two kids in 9 years, I realized I'm not that important or smart. And I've got the right people and agencies in place. And, now I own two companies. And I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I think, realized that it's okay to be an owner and not an operator in a lot of sense. And it gives me a lot of freedom. Like today, my kid wasn't feeling well, so I didn't work. That's the only thing I've done today. And it's 1:00. Which is odd to say coming from someone that literally did not stop working or thinking for like 7 years or whatever it was. So I think for me, and again, it's always personal. It's like my family was the reason I pivoted to working less. And in the reality, sales and profits are the best they've been because I've removed myself as the bottleneck. But it was not always the way, and I'm very fortunate and never expected to be where I'm at, to be candid. I didn't say, hey, I'm going to go launch a 8-figure golf brand and then a 7-figure agency. It all just kind of was me following where there was traction and doing something I really love, which was golf, and I still love.
Well, that you touched on a lot of different things, and I actually I sympathize with a lot of those things. One being why people get into entrepreneurship, obviously to have better lives for their families, or they certainly don't want to just work for other people. They want to either create, build, operate on them on their own, and really create a legacy. And it sounds like kind of that family was that tipping point. But you've developed passions specifically in golf, obviously. Were you? And again, I've looked into your background, but if someone's listening to this, where did that passion come from? Were you always a golfer? Did it since we were young? Like where did that niche come from that you wanted to build a brand around it?
So, yeah, golf has been trending down for like 20 years. So to start a golf brand in 2012 would be insane. It's hot now with post-COVID, but I mean, so I grew up playing golf, played in high school, used to be pretty good. Went to college, played rugby, didn't really play much golf. And then one of my buddies, this is 2000, I'm going to screw all the years up. I don't sleep much with two young kids, and I haven't in years, but so I screw up all the years. But 2011 or 10, my friend was like, hey, I'm going to this thing called World Long Drive, which is like a home run
competition, right? Yeah,
it's
basically.
Yeah. And I was much bigger and stronger back then. But it's like home run derby of golf, and you see how far you can hit it. And I was like, I don't even know what that means, but I'll go. So I showed up. I think he gave me a golf club to hit, and he didn't qualify. And he was like insanely in shape and, hockey player and whatever. And I qualified, and I was shocked. And I just fell in love with golf again, which I had grown up playing. And I just became obsessed with how far I could hit it. And I had all these weird different configurations of golf clubs made, golf drivers assembled by a local club fitter. And I ended up breaking most of them, not from my muscles and speed, but from his inability to assemble a golf club, which is actually fairly simple. And I just said, all right, I'll learn to assemble clubs myself. So I just became a tinkerer, was just curious. Everything started from a curiosity and passion for me. So I started assembling clubs. One of my buddies, so I would go hit balls, was like, can you make me one? I was like, yeah. And then he just like paid me some money. I was like, okay. And then for no reason at all, I just made a website, and it was the world's worst website. This is like 2012. So like, it wasn't easy to pop up a quick e-com site. This is like,
right. You had a code.
Yeah. There was like coding. I had like cartoon characters on it. It was a joke. It was comical, but it was a passion of mine. I just started kind of documenting. And then I've had these epiphanies. business and life epiphanies that kind of have led me through this path. And I was on my boat, which was not a yacht, on Lake Champlain with my wife. I think we were just hanging out, fishing, probably drinking a beer. And I got an email on my BlackBerry. And I'm like, okay, email, cool. Open it up, and it was an order. It's like, you received $250 from PayPal. I was like, is this a scam? Is this real? And that was my first sale online. And it was like, I think it was like in Ireland too. It's something ridiculous. Like, I don't even know how to ship it there. It was, but I sold.
How much does it cost to ship to Ireland? We have to Google that real quick.
I probably lost money on that deal. But it was the moment where I was on a boat was such a jarring difference of my other life, where I got a sale on a boat, where I wasn't technically working in front of a computer or at a job. I just said, let me do more of that. That seems cool. And from there, it was definitely for me a slow, arduous couple years of doing all the wrong stuff and figuring out slowly. But from that, I started selling some more, sold some more clubs, and then I was having some beer. I think beer is a big part of my learning. I was talking.
All the great things come when you're drinking a beer. Like, let's just put that out there right now.
So I'm an expert at drinking beer.
There you go.
Not that I can hang anymore, but no. So I was talking to a buddy from my frat, from where I went to college at University of Vermont, on the phone. I was just like, hey, I want to kind of design my own golf club. And he's like, you're not that smart. And I go, you're not wrong. And because it took me like 5 years to graduate. But so he's like, why don't you call the University of Vermont, where we both went to college, and see if they'll design a golf club? I'm like, that's cool. Let me try it. So I called them up, and they're like, yeah, we've got a capstone project where you can apply to work with a group of students every year. And I applied, and they picked me as one of the 30 projects. And I designed a golf driver with 4 seniors at UVM. And for some reason, I just, I was just all for fun. I just started documenting on Facebook and just documenting what I was doing with no intentions of making real money. I just loved it and cashed in my 401k, probably because of the beer. And, I made like 50 drivers. And when I launched it, I did it with Facebook and just getting people hyped up, just because it was like, this is what I'm doing. Come along for the ride. And I think we sold like $10,000 of pre-orders on a golf club that didn't really exist other than the one sample we had made. I'm like, that's cool. Let's do more of that. And it really became, and it just kept on kind of steamrolling of like traction, follow that. So we just did more on Facebook, and it was just me. And, I was literally working at that point, it was a side hustle. I had a full-time job. I was in sales, and I was at a secure job. And I was like, all right, this is my day job. I'll side hustle BombTech. It was doing like $14,000 a month, which some people are like, holy crap, that's a lot. That's essentially like negative 10,000 because I had.
I was gonna say, is that revenue or profits?
That's revenue. So like, as a e-com brand that you manufacture your own product, that's zero cash flow. So like, you need a lot of capital to make a physical good, especially when you're the manufacturer with the toolings. So I didn't know any of that. I was just selling stuff and enjoying it, and had a full-time job. And until my boss pulled me aside on the week before Thanksgiving, 2012. I don't know, 13, 12, something like that. It goes, today's your last day and your last paycheck's last week. And I said, let me go get a drink of water so I don't knock you out. That was exactly what I said to him. So I like calmed down, came back into the room, and I'm like, dude, and he was a new manager. He just became my boss. I just was about to hit 1 year where I was going to be vested in all these like benefits, whatever.
Sure.
For 401k. I don't know, whatever it was. And I go, what's my job? And he goes, to sell. I go, what are sales? Oh, they're up 200% or 2x or whatever. I go, how didn't I do my job? And he goes, it doesn't matter. You're fired. He just didn't like me. And although I literally doubled the company's sales in 1 year, which most people would be like, holy shit, that's amazing. I was fired. So that made me realize, wow, how fragile and how unreliable is a job. Because, you think of those as secure. And to me, that was like such a gut check. But when I got home early from work, my wife's like, okay, are you going to make BombTech full time or what? So she supported me and
Wow.
kind of, that was another pivotal moment or epiphany where I was like, and we had a kid coming. So we just found out my wife was pregnant too. So that was the high pressure cooker environment that apparently I need to go for it. And that year was probably the hardest year of our marriage, our life, the business, you name it. And we had a newborn. So I wasn't sleeping, she wasn't sleeping, and I was working legitimately every second of the day because I was still shipping the clothes myself, assembling clothes myself. It was insane. I would not recommend that to anyone. But it allowed me to go from casual side hustle to a full-time income in 1 year. And from there, we just threw gasoline on it with Facebook ads and paid traffic. So we went from like that year, I think we did revenue like 500K. And then we went to 1.4 million and then 1.4 to 4.2 to 6 point something to like 9. That's like what we do now, 9 to 10 now. And
That's not per month. That's per year, correct?
Per year. That'd be a nice month. I'm doing it wrong.
Nice
I'm not doing 10 million. Our best month, I think, is 1.3. But yeah, so, and now I run the business. We could probably definitely be bigger, but I'm a conservative, small-time business guy, and I'd rather not risk a ton of capital because we have no debt to go bigger. Someone could definitely take the brand and make it bigger, but that's how I operate, because I had so much debt when I started and working capital loans and stress that I didn't want to run a company like that. So a lot of what I've done is for my own personal views on business and entrepreneurship, but that was kind of like getting fired and the pressure, and that's why when I had my second child, and this is one other moment, not to go on the whole story, but I think it closed loops it pretty nicely. I said, I'm going to take 6 weeks off, and that was like, for me to even say that seemed insane because I worked all the time. Mm-hmm. And I took 6 weeks off, and what do you think happened to sales?
Just either maintained or you were still good if you had done it right. That's what I'm assuming.
They went up. And
okay.
I said,
Even better.
I said, what am I doing then? Like, really, if I have 2 kids now or another on the way and sales are going up when I'm not working, I either have set up the right team or I'm just not that smart. I'm screwing stuff up. And I think it was mostly that one. And it made me realize, okay, I have an opportunity after 7, I don't know how many years this is, 6 years or something, to maybe claw some time back and live my life, and as a dad of 2 kids, they're sick of me now. And I wouldn't have been able to say that if I didn't have those pivots and life moments. But I think that's, once you have some traction, that's probably the hardest part, is to, if you can, really do that. Because as an entrepreneur, especially a founder, it's very easy to strangle the business and want to have your hand in every single piece of it. But I personally just wanted to have it operate kind of without me. And now my best sales days, I don't even know what they are because I'm out golfing or I'm with my family. And it makes the business much more potentially transferable if someone were to buy us, whereas I'm no longer the reason we're successful. I'm not the lever to pull. I'm just a useless guy who founded the company. So it's been a crazy ride, man. And I do what I do now is I do podcasts like this. It's fun. And I've got the email agency, we're Clayview agency at EcomGrowers. And that's been exciting because it was actually my first employee at BombTech. That's my partner there. So now he's making like 10x what I could ever pay him. So it's been a wild ride, so from doing all the wrong things, 20 hours a day, to 2 companies working, I don't know, 4 to 6 hours a week and golfing all the time.
That's amazing. Well, I think for the listener out there, Tyler, I personally appreciate the kind of like the realness of the story, because I think that's kind of the nature that people want to gloss over is, man, because there's this nature on Amazon that you can just find a product, it's successful, you find the niche, you throw it on there, you have the capital to back you up, you can launch it and be successful and build a brand. You did it. You did a lot of this grunt work of not, it just fell into your lap. You found a passion that you actually would work on. You kind of did the product manufacturing. You learned along the way. There's a lot of I'm going to say a lot of failures, it sounds like, in there, but then also with that, you were able to actually focus, and by nature of the pressure of actually focusing on it full time. And again, that's what a business is all the time, is you get it to a point where it can operate on itself or be almost automated. that's what I think a lot of people want to do. But again, you've also found the second thing I found really fascinating is you found this center of I'm at peace of where we do month over month, and it's still really, really good. Like you've probably found a level of income that's fantastic. You know your costs, you're profitable, you know what to rely on every single month. And the growth factor is either relying on one or two other people. And that's it. I mean, you're not trying to shoot for arbitrary numbers like 8 figures or 9 figures, or trying to get to maybe an unobtainable number. And I think that's where a lot of people just, again, you said capital is important, making sure you're not in debt, making sure you're profitable. All these things kind of speak to me. And that's why I think is really cool about the brand you built, but then following the passions of building another agency and other thing like that. Do you find that whether, so first and foremost, your brand, BombTech Golf, selling just to direct to consumer? Are you on Amazon? What are the ways now? Like, where do you stand today? What's kind of that breakdown, if you will?
100% direct. We only
Okay.
sell from the website. So again, like for me as a operator, like 2018 was a year where I tried everything. And that was the year it almost unraveled a little bit, because I tried this tactic, that tactic, tried Amazon, resellers, and it just became more work and really didn't have an impact. Like we had a bestseller on Amazon, but it just, I've decided I'd rather have, for me personally, a simple cash flow business that we truly take care of customers and we can control it. So like, that's why we sell 100% direct. I mean, email and SMS, in my opinion, is the only asset you'll ever own. And that's
why your customer avatar, you mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So like if we go on Amazon and someone buys a BombTech driver on Amazon, I can't market to them via email, and so a lot of the magic of what we do is wowing people post-purchase, so we lose that opportunity to really turn them not only to like, it's a great product, but like a brand advocate and really make it something special. So we decided, we probably have growth opportunities that I just say no to, because I personally want to run it in a controlled way where we own every email and SMS of every customer, so we can offer them new products. And we really just, it's more fun that way too. We can do special things for them and really wow them with customer service, which is probably the biggest thing that no one talks about. Everyone's like, I got great customer service. Yeah, it's awesome. And it's like, well, you pay someone overseas a couple bucks and they send an email. We've got, my two guys that are my only two in-house employees are customer service guys, and they have full healthcare paid for, a salary, and they're golfers. So like when you call them, they will talk about golf because they're golfers. So it's a different experience, and their only guiding light is do whatever it takes to wow someone, like do the unexpected. So they do things that if I was running the company, I'd probably cringe and be like, if I knew what they were doing on a micro level, if they sent out a free club, I would probably say, oh, that may hit the P&L. But in reality, that small act will word of mouth build brand times 100x of what we could save on that. So we allowed to give them that free reign to really wow customers. And that probably is the best thing I've ever done. And that's my moat. You know what I mean? Like the brand is the moat, and then how we wow them, because anyone can sell a decent product, right? We have amazing products, great story, but then we go above and beyond to do things that no one really wants to do and invest in. So that's like why my only in-house guys are customer service, and it's usually the opposite.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, that's really cool, because as a direct-to-consumer, you have to, like, you're driving the natural customer flow. You're not in front of people when they're searching. Like on Amazon, obviously it's a marketplace. That's where people go to either search or do research or things like that. You naturally have to make your brand aware to people by driving external traffic to your business. That's why it's really in the space that a lot of people like to talk about, of either agencies or different brand acquisition or growth accelerators or anything like that. It's this whole other segment pillar that you have to really figure out. It's the marketing aspect, the budgetary aspect, and then the pros of it are you earn and own your customer avatar, and you can continually build out that repeat business on a marketplace. That may not be the number one focus, or if at all. So I think that's really neat. So your brand building is selling clubs only, or what's kind of like that breakdown niche? Like golf is, I'm a golfer too. I know it can expand into accessories. It can expand into obviously the equipment. It could be anything from apparel to it
Yeah,
could
we're
it can go
very,
across a lot
we
of
just
different
make
things.
premium golf clubs. Like that's what
Okay.
we're known for. Full sets, drivers, irons, wedges, putters, you name it. And like the accessories and other things, like I kind of have I don't know if it's an interesting opinion, but I just believe in, only launching product if it's better and only selling products that I think are truly the best. And that's why we only sell what we have. We could definitely add more SKUs. We could become, maybe like other brands and doing many more things in golf, but I just don't look at it that way. I know our clubs are what we're known for and they're truly premium. So we just do what kind of works and what we're good at, so we've definitely said no to a lot of like, we've tried a polo, we've tried different apparel stuff, we tried a golf game, like different things. And it's like, end of the day, BombTech Golf makes premium golf clubs. And that's, that's a good thing to be known for.
Right.
We don't launch products like every couple months. We launch new products when they're ready and better. So like right now we're on, I think year 2 or 3 on the current product line. And we're waiting until we have something that's truly better. And I think our customers enjoy that, knowing that, hey, we're not going to be launching a new driver 2 months after they just bought this driver because it's
Right.
the marketing cycle. So there's a lot of things that make us different, but we really hang our hat too. I'm derailing a little bit, but we're the no pros, no retail equipment company. Everyone else hangs their hats on pros, and that's great that they do that. But for us, we only care about the guys that buy our clubs, which are the regular guys like myself, like you, that go out, have fun, and we're not on tour, and that's okay. So that's our target, and I selfishly make clubs for myself that my customers can use, and that's kind of the fun part. Is at the end of the day, not that I have a lot of say now, but I've made clubs that I'm like, hey, this would be just a really cool. Like I made this driving hybrid and then a hybrid wood club that I just wanted to make. And, if people like it, great. So I do like, what I'll do is a micro test where we'll design something that selfishly I wanted. And then we'll see what our customers say. And a lot of our success of any capacity is having a conversational marketing. And we do most of that via email. But really a good example of, and I hate tactics because it doesn't matter if you don't have the overall strategy. But a good example of how I think of customers and D2C ecom is this. So in 2013, I made a video on Facebook, and I hit a ball into a net and it sounds like a gun goes off. It's like so loud, or a bomb. And I say, does your driver sound like that? And I boosted it for $300. And that video got 300,000 views, 10,000 comments. And at the time I was like, wow, that's just insane engagement. So on my BlackBerry, I commented until my thumbs were bleeding, like legit, because I wanted to hit every single comment. Not that it would drive more revenue. I didn't even know what it meant. I just saw traction there. And it allowed me one-to-one have conversations at scale, to build real relationships. And we use that in our email program. And that's where we've seen the most leverage is social media comments. We don't do that anymore. But we looked at it strategically and said, okay, what is the best use of engagement and conversations? And that for us is email. So we ask a ton of questions that we really want to know answers to, which I'm shocked more brands don't want to do this. Now, I don't know if it's ego or what, but like A, B, do you want this club or that club? Like we'll have them vote, or if it's a new golf towel design or whatever, like, hey, which one do you like more? And 9 times out of 10, the one I think will win is not the one I picked. So that has taught me a lot of like, okay, I built something, founded something great, but that doesn't mean I have the right to dictate what my customers want. I let them dictate. And by losing control of that, it really allows you to do some cool stuff, and it allows your email to not only drive crazy revenue, but you have insane engagement. And guess what? You're in the inbox. You're not in the spam folder. So if you're just overly designing newsletters with 50 calls to action and never asking questions or caring and like having real conversations in email, you're missing the boat. So that's just like one thing that at the end of the day, if Facebook ads go to hell, Google ads go to the wayside, can you email your customers and still be sustainable? And I would say for most brands, no, because they still need new traffic, new life, new blood. Whereas we have real conversations from customer service, from me, from the brand, that would sustain that. So I think that's it's not a tactic. You got to really want to do that and have the strategy to do it. And that's paid back, So that's like, I don't know, one thing I think is really impactful, is having that mind shift.
You put value more in the repeat business, in the customer journey and experience, obviously, instead of the acquisition of a new customer. That's what it sounds like to me. And that's what's paid off for
we
you.
definitely want new customers, but they're only valuable if they're going to spread good word on the brand and they're going to buy again, right? So like, we don't want to just sell to someone once. Obviously, we want them to have a full set, and that may take 3 or 4 years. We've got guys that are, since I started, that have thousands and thousands of dollars of clubs because we take care of them. And the word of mouth, and I think that's the interesting thing too, is like, for us, the word of mouth on the golf course is game changing. So if we really wow them, dude, they're telling their buddies, they're on the tee, like, yo, check out this new club I got from BombTech. And they like let guys hit it. And that makes our job so much easier, and there's momentum with that. But that's also years of doing it. And I think at the end of the day, where I'm going with this is like, as an e-com or D2C brand, if you're not operating with the goal of caring about your customer, you're going to fail. And I think if you don't really want to learn from your customers, you're going to fail. And you want to be curious. My whole reason I did this was from curiosity. So I try to keep that perspective, because it's also fun if I'm like, hey, we should launch this club, and I'm dictating. I'd rather have people tell me and have it be a real, almost like we're on the same team. It's more fun, and it's building brands with customers versus you building and selling a widget like on Amazon. So we're really a brand, you know what I mean? It's a very different play than just making some, I don't know, whatever you sell to make income. I never did this with the goal of making a single dollar, really. So that's my story, So it's just a different way. And I don't think I could start another e-com brand because I spent so much time and effort to do it. I just couldn't replicate that,
Well, and that is I think, number one thing that they can't tap into at all these different times is you have to have I think that there is an unseen amount of power and effort that comes when you put in something that is, I'm trying to think of the word, to be honest, it just this passion that you put into a project. And when you're building a brand, there's this unseen revenue, like it doesn't have an impact on revenue or multiple lines of your spreadsheet or your balance book or anything like that. It's something that's unseen. You can't tangibly touch it, but it's a feeling you get. And that's when you ultimately that's what changes Nike from a shoe to a brand, right? It's the thought or the feeling you get from when you think of brand XYZ, either the product or the name or the image. That's what you get when you think about that. And that's what people have latched onto with BombTech Golf. So super cool story, I think. Is that something that you guys want to grow into, not just direct to consumer, but almost like wholesale or retail? Or how does that next evolution become that you feel like that there's still opportunity for growth, not just staying? Like, is there a platform that you think
I'm probably I'm definitely the bottleneck in the business, because coming from no expectations and getting it to where we do, we've had, I don't know, 4 months this year, over $1 million. It kind of, although it's been 9 years, I expect it, but also blows my mind, which I don't know, it's kind of hypocritical or counterintuitive. But there's a lot of things I do to not grow the brand based on how conservative I am with debt, cash flow. So like other marketplaces, wholesale, Amazon, retail, I don't have interest in doing that. I like what we have, It drives tons of profit, cash flow, and we can, like I said, we have those conversations direct to consumer. But yeah, you could absolutely take it to all the other channels. It just would add some complexity, and for me, with my life and my family and another company, I've kind of taken it to where it is, built the brand, made sure I wow the customers, and that's all I care about. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of it's personal. I know other guys that have gone and built $100 million companies, and I don't think I'm that guy. And that's took me a long time to think, but it's like, I don't know. I'm just a conservative. I think at the end of the day, I'm more conservative than I thought I would be. But I think if I came from a environment that it's like, okay, let's raise a bunch of money, let's scale, let's have a ton of debt, and let's just spend it. I just didn't start with that. I started with passion, and it's like still my baby, and I don't want to take on debt to grow it. And it's been, I wouldn't say organic, but it's just natural to what I want to do. I'd rather stay, $9-10 million and be super profitable versus just growing for growth's sake. Someone could definitely grow it more. That's not me, but it would probably require things I'm just not personally willing to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that could be an uncomfortable place to be in, but it can also be a very comfortable place to be in, depending on who you are as an entrepreneur. I think a lot of people tend to they don't like complacency, but I wouldn't even consider you complacent. They want to continue to either evolve or adapt or continue the evolution.
Need to constantly improve is one that plagues me to a fault. And I think if I didn't have the 2018 year where I tried every tactic under the sun and actually hurt sales, I wouldn't be where I'm at in terms of my opinion on stuff. So we do test new channels like TikTok, connected TV, new products, but we do it in a really measured way. You know what I mean? Whereas before, and like that, I bring up that 1 year just because I got caught up in like the over zealous, I don't know what the word is, enthusiasm for me to improve. And I over improved and broke some stuff. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like it was drastic, but it was just one of those things where I think fundamentals are key, and like we have the fundamentals on lock. So there's like micro improvements we can make, and we're always testing new things. But I think that is the hardest part as being an entrepreneur or founder. Is like you always want to make things better. And I get frustrated, candidly, some days when I've got nothing to improve. And so I try to take some of my energy and like wanting to make things better at BombTech. And I don't know if this is healthy, but I push those over to the agency, which is a newer, it's 3.5 years old. It's still small. We've got like 35 clients. So it's not as mature. So I put a lot of my focus and energy because that is a much more dynamic business. And in my opinion, that has a ton of room to grow. We're not doing 8 figures there. We're doing, like 150K a month. So it's like, and I like to, as a founder only, like that business, I'm a co-founder, right? So I like to get my hands dirty there because I feel like I can help out my co-founder a lot because he's young. It's his first company. And I've done a lot of things wrong that I can help him with. So like we have a call later today, and it's exciting to help him out. You know what I mean? Because we're building it, growing it. It's almost like those early days when I was building BombTech. So we're kind of like, it has that feeling, where it's like we have a ton of growth, we got a good product and offer, but we got a lot of room to scale. So BombTech, it's predictable scale, and we forecast it out for 2 years. So it's less dynamic, and you couldn't be dynamic in a golf manufacturing company today because the lead times are so long. Inbound shipping is insane. So we're already stocked for 2022. You know what I mean?
Really?
So it's like,
wow.
Gotta be, man. Like we're already, we used to roll like that, when it wasn't as crazy, like, oh, we'll get some stuff here and we'll see how it goes and we'll sell more and do that. And I put intentions on, this is what we're going to do this year. This is how we're going to do it. This is what we're going to spend. This is how much product we need. And next year we're going to do this, and this is how we're doing it. So it's a business plan. It's a forecast. But when you do that and you spend the time on those things, there's not many levers to pull, during the day-to-day. So like, that's the big change. I think you can get caught up in when you're early days, like my first 6-7 years, you're still learning all those different silos, you know, what to do and how to do it. So you can end up working a lot, you know what I mean? And now it's like our plan set, it is what it is. And, you know, I think that's a better, healthier thing for a business, you know what I mean? But you're not working, pushing buttons and pulling levers all day. So there's not a lot of tangible work, you know, which sounds odd in that, because we got the right people. And I believe, like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but like in a siloed approach for ecom, at least, like we've got an SEO expert, an agency, email is my agency. And then I've got a paid traffic guy, a CRO guy, and a 3PL. So it's like I have these experts, but they only do one thing, you know, and I pay them for that. And it's agency based because I like that, because they see across 20 or 30 clients of what's working. So it's in my opinion, it's better than having one person in house trying to do all these different things that doesn't have, you know, many clients that they can see what works. And that's been, you know, my paid guy I've been with for like 3.5 years. And he runs our Facebook and Google, you know what I mean? And he does a great job, makes all our creative. So that's just how I like to run it. And it allows me to not have to, I was going to say something else, but manage them, because they're an agency, you know? So it's,
Right.
It allows me to be hands off. And the in-house guys are both remote. You know, we have no office. We used to have an office with like 6 guys, an indoor hitting simulator. And this is kind of funny on a different tangent. And I'll never forget, like, I'd be in the office all the time. Then I'd take a day off to go golfing or go skiing. And some of the guys would get upset that I wasn't there. And it made me realize that being in an office as a founder with employees actually may not be a healthy thing if you want to not be in the office all the time. So for me, that was another big pivot where I went remote 2 years before COVID, because I didn't want them to hate me or be like, why aren't you in the office? Because I don't have to be, you know what I mean? So that was another thing where it's like, so I have an office, I'm in my office, but it's just me.
There you go.
Know, it's just a place to go, you know?
Well, yeah. And Tyler, there's a lot of things when you said drill down and you there's not as many levers as you want to obviously pull. And I think the takeaway from there is, if I'm a listener and I'm, you know, just writing down all these notes from you, be passionate about the things that you do have control and the things that you don't have time to learn for. Or if you're a team of 1 or 2 or 3 people, you know, there are agencies, there are people who have that scope and that thing that can take that off your plate. And you've decided to now focus on products, but then also customer service. And I think that in itself really does make a brand of, hey, money can go at scaling these different things. And I wouldn't say that they're not important. I love using this term. They're called minimum wage activities, right? Of something that is not going to build your business and grow, such as fulfilling orders and make sure they're out the door. That is just not time efficient for you. And that could be something that you can get back to either play golf or spend it with your kids, or
that's like my biggest
product
argument with a lot of these ecom brands. And we work with a lot of them at the agency. I'm not intimately in that business, but on LinkedIn, I have to hold myself back, because there's a lot of pride and ego into having a warehouse and shipping stuff yourself. And it blows my mind, because I would bet, and this was for me, we moved 3PLs 4 times. So it wasn't an easy path. But going from shipping clubs from Vermont, which is the #1 worst place to ship clubs from, I would have had to move. So like, I would argue that any ecom brand that's shipping clubs, or not clubs, but products themselves, are probably not in the right location anyways to be efficient from a shipping standpoint. We found that Wisconsin was the best location to be. So what we did is I did a shipping audit and said, okay, of the last 3 years, this is where we shipped the most: Florida, Texas, California, New York, whatever the split was. And we said, where would one location be to be the most ideal for shipping if we had a single location? And we just figured out exactly where it was, and then we just found a 3PL there. Versus, I think it's the control and doing something tangible where you're seeing the product, touching it, feeling it, shipping it, that can, as an early entrepreneur, sub 5 years in it, or 2 years, or whatever, 10 years, where it just feels like you're doing work. And that's a really hard thing to let go. So for us, all of our stuff's barcoded, goes to the warehouse. I never see it, never touch it. Whereas before, when I first started, I literally assembled the clubs myself. and shipped them and took pride in how many clubs I remember I could carry from my Subaru Legacy. I remember being excited because I had to do 2 or 3 trips one day. And I was like, so it's hard for me to say this stuff only because I've been there. And like, if you're physically the one shipping the clubs, at some point you gotta say why. And really for me, it's like, that is like the fun part of the growth. And that was probably the funnest years were those years. And now it's a real business. I'm just the operator or owner. But yeah, it's just one of those arguments I get in a lot with newer e-com owners. I'm like, you're in New York and you ship 90% to California. Why are you shipping from New York? Oh, yeah, no one else can do it like I can, really. No one else can ship a product as good as you. You were the best. When there's millions of 3PLs, like, no. Not only that, the shipping rates have saved us like location and shipping prices saved us like $300,000 a year out of the gate anyways. So it's like, it's a whole different discussion, but a lot of it comes down to, I think, ego and control. And again, it's hard to let those go because you're the one who started it, if you're a founder of a company. So I get it, and I can sympathize,
Yeah. What's the one thing that still keeps you up after doing this all these years? What's the one thing that keeps you up and scares you in the business that you're running, whether it's the brand or the agency?
I don't have many things at this point, which is odd to say. I think inventory sometimes used to stress me out when we were dealing with, because last year we sold out and last year's we sold out a lot. So I kind of got ahead of that and ordered, 2 years in advance, which did tie up some cash. No, I don't think I have anything really that irks me or like stresses me out really. I just get sometimes frustrated with the growth at the agency because with an e-com brand, it's very much a function of how well you spend money and you can scale. Like I could send an email at BombTech and do 6 figures in a day. Whereas the agency, we're working with B2B e-com brands. So it's harder to find those brands and earn their business. So we've scaled well, to up to like 40 clients, I think, at our peak. But it's not like I can just go out and spend X and get 50 clients. You know what I mean? So that has been a different challenge that, we're hiring a sales guy. We're building on a biz dev program right now. So that's the stuff that like is kind of cool because it's new. I know there's tons of room for opportunity because our offer is dialed in, our processes are dialed in. All that stuff comes from my background at BombTech, so I could help my partner. But it's like some of those things where like, I know we can get to like 150 clients. It's just, can we get there already? Not to say that the agency isn't doing well. We're a platinum partner, which is like your top, 10 in revenue driven for all Klaviyo agencies. So we're doing great. But it's like one of those things where I can't just spend X on Facebook and get all these clients. And if we even do, like right now, we do have an influx of clients that want to sign, but we need more employees. So it's a very different people business that is kind of new to me. So it's kind of fun. Hopefully I don't screw that one up too much, but it's almost 4 years now. So it's almost like with golf, and any business is pressure over time, and the pressure over time makes you grow. And so over the e-com brand or EcomGrowers agency, I think it's just we're a newer brand, and I think we just need more pressure over time, and we'll get to 150 clients and be more established. But it's kind of crazy to have 2 incomes, and I think from a business model, the agency is really exciting because it's all cash flow. There's no inventory. You do have the people.
It's a service, and it's a lot different. Yeah, exactly.
It's very different, but it's a very different. A 200K or 150K a month with no inventory is all cash. It's a very different business. So that's also exciting to me because, who knows what the future is for me, but that business model is at least something new that is kind of exciting, and we want to grow, and we're just trying to find the best people. So it's like that's our product is the people almost, and it's hard to find good people. So that's been our challenge. Is we have great systems, we're really good at operations, but can we just become the best with the best people? That's what we're trying to build.
Well, that makes sense too, and it sounds like too each business to separate them out. If I were to ask you, what's motivation for either in this regards? Is it money or is it mission? And I love asking that question. I did it on LinkedIn. I did a couple of different things, and it's really fascinating to see the breakdown of where you are in your career as an entrepreneur or not. Would you rather be? Are you currently motivated by money, or you're motivated by mission? And it sounds like one is, I would say, if I had to guess, and this is just hearing from my end, the money aspect is more on the agency side. The mission part is more on the brand side, which is almost entirely like it almost seems initially seems backwards to me, but you built the brain first. That therefore now it's become a mission component of create really like darn good products. And then on the agency side, I want to do something where there's opportunity. I know there's scalable. I have comfortability in knowing that we can make that grow and a little bit more money focused instead of, hey, this thing's going to be super solid over here in my brand. Would that be fair?
Interesting perspective. I think there's just more levers to pull and effort and like button pushing and things to set up to make the business scalable at the agency. So it's like, it's not necessarily money motivated. It's just opportunity motivated, where I feel like there's just more room to grow. You know what I mean? And I think BombTech is a natural passion vision, but like EcomGrowers started with one of my first employee, what was my first employee at BombTech. So it's like he was my side-by-side number two for like 4 or 5 years. So it's like, you know, he has the vision and you know, we're working on doing that. Because I will say that is one interesting part, because like BombTech Golf is very simple to put why we exist. You know, we're premium clubs for regular guys, no pros, no retail. Whereas the agency is like, we help other ecom brands, which is great, but we don't have necessarily a brand per se, that we have something a lot. And we just had this conversation, which is funny. We can't, I don't think we could draw a line in the sand and say, this is why we exist. We have a service that drives crazy revenue for different ecom brands. But like, what's the real reason we exist? And we're too deep in the weeds to grow it, to really get to that point yet. But at the end of the day, you know, it is frustrating as an ecom brand who's hired and fired so many agencies. And that's really why we started that, you know, because I had gone through so many agencies that suck, that straight up just are not good, that when take a step back, when BombTech started blowing up, people started messaging me to help them. And I said no. And then Chris was like, hey, man, I've been with you for like 4 or 5 years. Can I help them? And he was running all my email. I said, listen, if you can get them great results, go ahead. So he closed 3 deals. I said, let me know how that goes in 30 days. He came back in 30 days. I said, hey, I doubled their email revenue. I go, okay, what do you want to do? And he goes, I want to do more of this and grow it. And I said, well, let's partner up. So we partnered up, and I did, you know, I was essentially just his coach. You know, he's in the fulfillment and the doing, and then I have really hard conversations with him. But we have a unique perspective because he was side by side with me for so long in an ecom brand. So we really get what ecom brands are trying to do. And that's our advantage. It's an agency born from ecom. Whereas most agencies have no idea what the day-to-day in the ecom brand as a founder is like. And that's why we started it. So it wasn't like I went out and said, hey, I'm going to start another business to make a ton of money. It's like people were pinging me like, yo, help me. And my employee Chris, who's now my partner, he stepped up. I was like, dude, I'll help him. And he had a tangible, very clear thing, singular thing we can do. And that's why we only do email and SMS, but messages. So it was one of those things that was another moment of traction more than a revenue op. It's just like, okay, people are needing help. Right. They want our help. Let me see what we can do. I'm not the one to fulfill it. And I told him that straight up. I will not work behind the computer doing anything. And he's like, I don't want you for that. You're useless at that. Because that's how we worked at my business too. So that's been a really cool evolution. I think what motivates me to close loop that business, close circle, is seeing him grow, because he's so young still and own a business that is, you know, rewarding and also compensating more than I could ever pay him as an employee. So it's like, it's more of a win-win because it's not just me. You know, I'm not an entrepreneur on solo island grinding away. I've got a partner and I've got a different type of experience than he has. So it's a good synergy. Who knows what the next couple of years we'll do, but right now at the end of the day, I'm just trying to do what is fun. Like,
That's
really.
amazing.
Yeah.
No, that sounds like fun. Yeah, and I know we're already at the top of the hour, Tyler. Kind of to kind of round out this, since you've done both, you've done the service provider helping other people. Again, missions are different. Each has a different cause and effect. And you have the brand. If someone were to approach you and say, "Hey, I have an idea. I just kind of need, like, what did you learn from starting this business when you did?" And then also, like, what advice would you give me for those kind of people who want to jump in to do something, whether it's service or brand building? What advice do you bestow upon them that you had to give,
This
like,
is
one
always,
thing?
I'm asked this a ton. It's always the hardest question. I get pinged all the time, like, hey, what do you think of this? I think it's up to the individual. And it's like, if you don't like it and you're naturally already doing it, you're screwed. So like, I would never chase a trend. It's like my best example of this. I made a video when I used to make videos, which I don't do anymore, but because I did them because I thought I had to do them and it turned into work. I was like, I'm not doing this. But I made a video talking about women's leggings. And it's like, I know nothing about women's leggings other than, my wife looks good in them. Right. But I know nothing about
Smart
them.
answer.
Smart. Yeah. I'm once in a while I'm smart, but so I know nothing about them. So why would I start a business? Because it's hot and trending. You're not going to have the right messaging. You're not going to know what the audience wants. You're not going to know what they're looking for. So it's like that business is going to feel like work every day that you work on it. Whereas golf, I'm already doing it. It never felt like work because it was my passion. So that's the biggest thing, is like, if you're starting a company to make money, I just don't come from that. So I feel like that's like a PE mindset. And I just don't have that, So it's like, if you're going to be working and grinding and starting it, do something you enjoy. That's all. Because you're going to be doing a lot.
I love that. No, that's great advice. I think advice that can be short and sweet. It's not how to reinvent the wheel. It's do what you're passionate about. Make sure you want to get up every day and you still enjoy doing what you do, whether it be a podcast or a running brand or service or going in the healthcare or whatever it is. I know people who are just happy in their lives. That's the one currency you don't get back is time, right? And you got to spend it in, whatever you want to do, whether it's spending time with money or family, or spending it in experiences, whatever that may be. But that's really cool. I'm really excited for you and the company. If people are curious to learn more about agency, BombTech growth, grab some awesome gear, because I know I'm interested. I need to check out more into the website and whatnot. How do they get in touch with you? What's the best way to engage with you or the brand or anyone there?
Yeah, if you golf, it's just bombtechgolf.com. And then if you're an e-com brand, we work with brands doing over $1 million a year. We run Klaviyo and SMS, email and SMS at EcomGrowers.com. I have been fairly active on LinkedIn at Tyler Sully Sullivan. I don't know why I'm active on LinkedIn. I've just been enjoying it.
Me too.
I struggle with that because I'm like, I'm using this because I don't use any other social platform really. And I'm like, I'm using it, but it's not driving revenue. Should I delete this app? So I go through spurts of deleting apps and not having anything. And honestly, those are the best days, is when I have nothing on my phone that's can distract me and I'm just in the moment. And I'm leaning more and more towards that, even though social media has built both my companies. So I struggle with
that. That's why you pay other people to do that, though, Tyler.
That's right. Yeah, I did hire an agency to do my content, and I was it was an ego thing. That was like the last thing I could hand off with social media. And I was like, I'm so bad at it. I'm almost 40. Why am I still doing that? And they started making content, and it was like 100 times better. So LinkedIn, maybe. It depends on the week. But yeah, that's about it.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, yeah, obviously we've linked out to the websites in the comment section, and we'll obviously in the show notes as well. So, hey, thanks so much, man, for hopping on. I know I love it when the only thing people want to do is just hop on a podcast like today. That sounds like a dream to me. So,
Yep.
I've learned so much, and I think a lot of our listeners have learned a lot too. But hey, now friend of the show, thanks for hopping on. And whenever you want to go down another rabbit hole like we did today, give me a shout out, and we'll get you back on here for sure.
Appreciate it, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Man.
Thanks, Tyler. Again, everyone else, thanks you to again for everyone who hopped on episode 169 of Crossover Commerce. Again, takeaways easy enough. I would say put passion before profits, or I mean, they both work in hand in hand, right? A lot of people like to argue and say what comes first, passion or profit. I think you can live in a world with both. of what makes you happy, where you want to have that vision, and if it's scaling really quickly and trying to grow a 5-figure business, and you feel comfortable with that and you can live off that, that's amazing. If you want to be the next Nike or BombTech Golf, even, well, you can do that too, but it can take time. It can take different avenues. There's no clear footprint to do that, and that's what's exciting about the world we live in is entrepreneurship, e-commerce, just in general, the way you can get your products in people's hands, the passionate fans that you can work with. There's so many different segments, and they're all fascinating. And you can be profitable and scale and build whatever you want. That's the opportunities are endless. So that's what I took away. Again, thank you so much, Tyler, and EcomGrowers, as well as BombTech Golf. Go ahead and check them out. Again, the links are in the show notes in the comment section below. Go ahead and check it out. Buy yourself some gear, or check them out if you're looking for a different agency that might need help with email marketing. I'm certainly going to look at it and see what they have to offer for sure. I'm Ryan Cramer. This is Crossover Commerce. Thanks to everyone who hopped on episode 169. We'll catch you guys next time. Take care.